Hi, Missa Bowler here, and I wanted to take a minute just to make this video and share my story with you. So you might be thinking like, okay, what is she talking about her story? Well, 2.5 years ago, I actually decided to become a fitness coach. And I know a lot of my friends and family were kind of weirded out by it because they're like, well, what's a fitness coach? What do you mean? And, they knew I worked out and they knew I loved to work out. And I was always that friend who was, okay, I'll meet you guys there, but I have to go home and work out first. And they all just kind of knew that about me, but that was me in my adult stage. I have to kind of take you back a little bit. Well, actually, way back. Let's start way back. I have lost over 100 pounds. My highest weight was 230 pounds. And that was actually when I was very young. I was always the youngest. I was always the biggest girl in my grade. And I mean, tall and big. I was the fat friend, always, that I can remember. And needless to say, it scarred me all the way through high school. So at the age of 15 years old, I had gotten on the scale and realized that I had seen a number that I never really thought I would see before. I was only 15, and up until that point, I was known in school as Shamu, Free Willy, all these different names, Fatso Freak, Goth, and I'll explain more about that. But I was called names every day from the minute I got on the bus to the minute I'd get off the bus. It would start at 7 o'clock in the morning at the bus stop, and it really wouldn't stop until I made it into my house, literally, because kids were so mean. They used to say Shamu or Free Willy out the bus windows of the back seat. So I just would pretend that I didn't hear them. I would just put it out of my mind. And, at 15 years old, I had watched my mom lose 80 pounds. And she did it by doing a very strict nutrition diet, paying a weight loss center a load of money to watch her weight and watch her nutrition. And they weren't specialists, they weren't nutritionists, they were just people who were hired to wear a white coat and to go over your diary with you. But hey, it helped my mom, and I watched her lose 80 pounds by following a strict nutrition plan and walking on the treadmill every day. So at 15, needless to say, I wasn't getting very much attention from boys, and I was always the fat friend, and I was, never invited to school dances. And there used to be this thing, we had this place locally called Skate Away, and they'd have couples skate. And all my friends and I would talk about this all week long about who we wanted to ask to couple skate with us. And they'd always easily enough have someone to skate couples with. And I never did. So I started to retreat in myself, and I became very introverted. But I also disguised who I was by painting my face and wearing lots of black makeup and dyeing my hair crazy colors, like with Manic Panic. And I started listening to really different music, like Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie, like stuff that like a normal 15-year-old girl wouldn't be into. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of 15-year-old girls into that, but normally you don't see a lot of 15-year-old girls walking around with bright green hair and like eye makeup like running off their face. That was me. So I had lost my dad at a very young age to esophageal cancer, and he was well over 300 pounds. He was a very big guy, and he had loads of health issues. So going through that and then seeing my mom lose the weight, I finally said to her, can you please let me do this program? So my mom paid over $1,000 to take me to this clinic where they did the same thing with me. I would show up 3 times a week, I'd get weighed, they would measure me, and they would pretty much just go over my food journal every time I was there. So you're probably saying like, well, that's what a coach does, right? Well, I didn't know about that when I was younger. So, and there wasn't coaching around then. So what I did was I followed this program, and just like my mom, I got on the treadmill and I would just pound away on that thing. And the weight started coming off, but this place did not talk about working out. They did not motivate me to work out. They did not influence me to work out. They did not recommend that I had to work out. So it was nothing to do with working out. It was just all focused on what I was eating to lose the weight. And the only reason I started working out was because I saw my mom do it. And I was just like, well, I'm just going to get on the treadmill like she did. And that's what I did. Well, soon enough, I got very bored and I saw an infomercial. Now you're probably thinking I'm going to say an infomercial for Team Beachbody product or program. But at 15 years old, I don't even think that there was a program out for Beachbody at that point. But I started using the Firm workouts and I became a Firm believer. And I literally fell in love with their workouts. I completed all 3 of their Firm believer programs. I think they call them the Firm body sculpting systems. So I completed all 3 of those programs. And I actually was working as a moderator on one of their fitness motivation pages. And they have a chat system. And I would get on there and I would host challenges each month. And we would check in on the boards. And I wasn't getting paid for it, but I stood out amongst the moderators, and they actually reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in running a page, running one of their boards. So I was thrilled. And by this time, I was 18 years old, so I was still in high school. I had lost a huge amount of weight by that point. By the time I graduated school, I was like a different person. And my senior year, I don't think anyone really knew how to talk to me at that point. Because I went from this really heavy girl that had no friends and then I morphed into this freak punk goth girl. People were calling me like a witch because I would like paint my face. So I went through that really weird phase. And then next thing you know, as a senior, I had lost 70 pounds. And people were like, who is this girl? And literally, I didn't make too many ties in high school. But needless to say, I did reconnect with some people after high school who actually became a part of my team now, so it's fun. But anyway, so after graduating high school, I had continued on with the in-home fitness. I started collecting all types of programs. You name it, I probably got it. Tae Bo, Mari Windsor Pilates. I had a Pilates reforming machine, which is right behind me. I started collecting all types of stuff, yoga workouts. I have like every Firm workout. So come 2005, I may have exhausted a lot of the different workout videos that were on the market. I was not a gym goer, and I was not ever really into the gym. I had loved spin classes, but I never really was a huge gym goer. So by the time I was in my 20s, I was maintaining my weight loss. And I would always tell people that maintaining is just as hard as losing, if not harder. So 2005 comes along and I meet my husband, and we actually decided to get fit together. And I talked him into doing Slim in 6 with me, which was my very first Beachbody program. And we did not finish it. We just got really bored with it, and he was not an in-home fitness guy. He was in the military, and he thought he knew better. So he fell right off that boat. But I kept pushing on. I kept showing up. I kept working out with other workouts. And, we moved along in our relationship. I had maintained the weight. I wasn't, at my lowest weight, but I wasn't blown up either. So fast forward a little bit. In 2008, we got engaged. 2007, we got engaged. And in 2008, we were planning on getting married. And we actually found out that my husband was going to get stop loss in the military. His contract was up in 3 months, and they stop lost him. If you're a military spouse, you might understand what this means, but if not, it means they pretty much stop your contract from expiring and they make you deploy with their brigade. So I'm getting a little emotional, but this always kind of gets me emotional. So we had to move up everything for our wedding. We had to change everything around. And I was devastated, as any wife, wife to be would be. I thought we were almost out of this, and here I was facing a year of deployment, so I didn't expect that. So needless to say, we ended up getting married in Vegas. We moved everything up, and it was actually a blessing because I love Vegas now, and we go back every year. And but where I'm getting to is this is what led me into meeting Chalene Johnson. And it was one day I was doing laundry, and there was this boppity blonde on TV, and our wedding was coming up in 3 months, and I wanted to look amazing, and I didn't have all this time to do that, and I was really bored with my workouts. So what I did was I sat down, I started watching this infomercial for Turbo Jam, and my husband looks at me and he's like, I'm going to get this for you. So I was super excited, so I got Turbo Jam and I started that, and I got in the best shape. Like, I was in the best shape as when I had first lost all the weight, but I was getting toned, and I was just getting tighter, and I loved it. So I felt amazing on our wedding day. I felt amazing. I felt so beautiful. And after we got married in September on Labor Day, he left, and I went down a downward spiral. I had gained 40 pounds while he was gone, and it was tough. It was really hard. I picked up a drinking problem and drank a lot, and I pretty much ate all my emotions through pasta and wine, red wine. And I joke about it now, and I call myself a wino because I do love wine, but it was a problem, and I had gained so much weight so fast. Like, within 6 months, I was looking at a number I never thought I would see. So right away, I thought of Chalene Johnson, and I went online and I started looking her up, and I found Chalene Extreme. And I loved weight training, so I bought the program. I started doing it 3 months later. I was down 24 inches in my whole body. And soon after that, my husband came home, and I felt better. I didn't lose all the weight, but I felt way better. And we actually decided to go on a honeymoon. So I picked up Insanity, and I started doing Insanity, and I never had used Shakeology, never watched any of the things about coaching. I didn't know what coaching was. I just would fast forward all that stuff, and finally, after hearing that video, you guys probably know which one, on Insanity, that when you see all the different things in Shakeology, I was stuck, and I was like, you know what, I'm giving this a try. So I started ordering my Shakeology off of eBay. I know, horrible. And I started using it, and I just loved it. I loved it. I completed Turbo Fire, and through this whole time, I never had a coach. Well, finally, I met my coach online, and she recommended that, I had told her I was having a lot of problems, and my nutrition was way off track, and she recommended that I join her next challenge group. And she's like, well, what programs have you tried? And I told her all the programs I had, and she pretty much laughed at me. She's like, are you serious? You have all the programs. How come you never heard of coaching? So she told me about coaching, and I was probably like one of the easiest persons she had to sign up. I was like, okay, sign me up. I want 25% off. So I signed up as a discount coach, and I was using Shakeology. And by the time I was done my first challenge, I was reaching out to her, telling her I was ready to do my own challenge. And I just loved it. From that minute, it made me think about when I was 18, and I was on the message boards, and I was helping with the firm, and it just made me feel alive again. It made me feel so good. When I started, I was actually going to school full time and I was working 40 hours a week. So I never thought there would be something out there like this. And I was able to fit it in. I was able to do like an hour here or there, and it was working really well for me. What really shocked me was about a year and a half into my business. I was still only able to work my business probably like half time. I wasn't working in the business full time because I was working full time and I was going to school. One of the things that was really a mind blowing experience for me was after a year and a half of working my business, I was able to go part time at my corporate job. And that meant so much to me because my corporate job was physically and emotionally draining. And I really was not happy there. And after 2 years, I made a goal to leave completely. This summer, I'm going to retire at the age of 30 in corporate America. And I'm so blessed that this opportunity came into my life because without it, I wouldn't have met so many amazing people. My best friends are in this company, and it's strengthened not only my inner confidence, but it's strengthened my marriage, it's strengthened my relationships, it's strengthened my belief system. It it made me believe like I can fly. And my team's motto, I'm obsessed with owls. My team's motto is leap and build your wings. And I believe that this is the business that you can really, really build amazing, beautiful wings and fly. And yes, we're going to fall. Yes, we're going to nosedive. And I have. But I've always been able to get back up and just take off again and soar. And I'm blessed for Beachbody coaching, for what it's done to my life. I could go on and on talking about all the amazing things I've been able to do because of coaching, but I want to share my story, not all the different things I've earned, but my story as to how I got here and why I decided to do this. So at this point, by the end of this summer, 2014, I'm going to be a full-time Beachbody coach, and I am so proud to say that. So thank you for just taking some time to listen to my story, and I hope it may have inspired you to start your own journey. Thanks.